Hi, I'm Brian, here for the Lincolnwood Library to teach our class on Microsoft Word Basics today. Whatever you're making, whether it's a resume, a letter, a flyer, a sign, or something else, Microsoft Word is a great option for creating documents. It's a good digital skill to have ready. Today in our class on the basics of Microsoft Word, we'll go through how to access Microsoft Word and a couple of alternatives. Opening Microsoft Word, its interface, typing in Word, basic formatting and layout, inserting a picture, saving, closing and reopening documents, help in search in Microsoft Word, and printing. So let's get started. So you can access Microsoft Word at the library on our computers if you don't have access to it. But if you do want to access it at home, you can buy Microsoft Word as a permanent download for your computer for $140. Now, Microsoft, though, highly encourages using its subscription. You can also purchase Microsoft Office Home and Student 2019 for $150, which includes Word, along with Excel and PowerPoint. I mentioned the subscriptions. Microsoft has a couple of different versions of subscriptions, ranging from $70 a year right now to $100 per year, which have a whole bunch of extra features that you may or may not need. So these are also ways that you could get Microsoft Word. There are also alternatives like Google Documents here, which is free and is natively online and can download to a variety of other formats. And Apache OpenOffice includes a program called Writer, which is comparable. This is a community-created program that can be downloaded onto any computer. There aren't any online features like with Word or with Google Docs. So Apache OpenOffice Writer and Google Docs are a couple of free alternatives, but a lot of people think that Microsoft Word is worth the price. So again, you can get it for $140 alone, $150 with Word and Excel. There are two ways to open up Microsoft Word. First, if you have a desktop shortcut like this one, you can just double click that, 1-2, and it opens up Microsoft Word to a template screen. This template screen may have shortcuts to recent documents that you can open, but you can't count on these because these will change over time if you open different documents. So from the templates screen, you can open a blank document, and that opens a document that you can start typing in. To close that, you can just hit the X in the upper right corner. The other way that you can open Microsoft Word up is through a taskbar shortcut. You may or may not have one. I do this shortcut right here. Instead of double-clicking like the desktop icon, you can single-click to open the taskbar shortcut. It opens to that same screen with the recents that you can't count on or the blank document that you can open. Now that we have Word open, let's take a look at its interface so that we know how to use it. So in the middle is the live preview of the document. Whatever you have here visually is what will print. There are controls at the top and around the edges, including in the bottom corner. But let's take a look at the top first. The top controls are called the ribbon. It is made up of tabs, file, home, insert, design, layout, references, mailings, review, view, help menu, and if you pull up images or other types of sophisticated content, there are other menus sometimes that appear at the top here. The default tab is Home. Insert, for inserting different types of content like pictures and shapes. Design helps you lay out your document, although in real-world use this is very rarely used. Layout has the tools like margin and orientation. References, if you're working on a scholarly paper, you can do footnotes and other things like that. Mailings has mail merge, which is very helpful if you're sending form letters. Review for spell check, thesaurus, word count, and other tools. View to help organize how the document looks as you are editing. Let's go back to the Home tab. To show and hide these tabs at any time, you can double click on any one of them, 1, 2, and it hides, 1, 2, and it's back. There is also this button at the top next to the minimize button that gives you more options for displaying the ribbon. You can have it just show the tabs, and then when you click, it'll reveal commands on the fly. Or you can have it show the tabs and commands. By commands, Microsoft Word means the specific buttons. All these buttons like bold and bullets, every single one of these little things that you can highlight and click on is a specific command. The commands are within groups of buttons. The group labels are at the bottom. For example, clipboard, font, paragraph, styles, and editing in the Home tab. Now, sometimes for one of these groups, like paragraph or font, there are more buttons available than actually are displayed in the actual groups. In the lower right corner of these menus, there is this funny button that is called a dialog box launcher, which, when you click it, brings up basically the kitchen sink for that category. It has absolutely everything that is available. Oftentimes there are sub-tabs within that and different checkboxes and previews and all sorts of different things. You can manipulate these options. Usually there is an OK or Apply button, or you can cancel and X out. At the top and on the side of your document, you may have the ruler, which shows your margins and how wide and tall your content is. That can be customized in the View menu. At the side and sometimes at the bottom, you have your scroll bar where you can move up and down if your content is multiple pages, or if you use the zoom control here at the bottom, and if I zoom way in, the left and right scroll bar appears to move left and right at the bottom. So to do the zooming, you can either hit the plus or minus, and it shows your zoom level, 230% right now, or you can just drag the slider, and I will go back to 100. So again, we have the ability to see what we've done to the document in the middle, which scrolls down for as many pages as you create, and the controls are at the top. Let's do some basic typing in this document. So wherever the blinking line, the cursor is, that is where your text will appear. So you just use your keys, standard QWERTY or any keyboard will type into here. I'll use my Enter or Return key to go down a couple lines. You can type, of course, as much as you need. If you make a typo, you can use your backspace or delete key. If you need to change where the cursor is, you can click on a different location and then type there. Or you can use your arrow keys, left, right, up, and down, to move the cursor. Now, you can also cut, copy, and paste. In a separate document, I have some text that I am selecting and copying. Over in our document, if you need to do formatting, you first highlight whatever text you want to format. And you can make it bold or do any formatting. You can also replace text that you've highlighted with text that you've copied and want to paste. In the clipboard menu, there are cut and copy buttons, also paste. The down arrow gives you options, but I just want to do the top, the default, paste. And I pasted in this text about the library, a recent letter from our director and staff to the community in our newsletter. So you see it automatically goes to the next page, which is great if the text fills more than the page. If I click on the image, like I mentioned before, additional menus in the ribbon may appear. An additional tab appeared, Picture Tools Format. This contextual menu only appears when it is needed. So if I click away from the picture, the library logo, you see that that menu disappeared. So if I click on that picture again, the menu reappears. And I can click on Format and see a variety of buttons that are only useful in terms of dealing with pictures in Microsoft Word. So you can cut, copy, and paste text. If I want to put these links at maybe the bottom of the document, I can highlight them, cut, go to where I want to paste them, maybe down one more line, and then paste. Now if you just want to copy, you can do the same thing basically. Highlight, copy, go to where you want to put them. I'll go down one more line, and paste. Now you can also use keyboard shortcuts like Control or Command V to do cut, copy, and paste. Let's do some basic formatting now. So I've got the text at the top, the library's mottos here. To do any formatting, you first, again, have to highlight. And sometimes after you highlight, a little mini menu appears where you can do some basic formatting. This menu can be inconsistent, so I like to show people to use the top menu here, which is more consistent. So if I want to change the font face, the font, I can click the down arrow and take a look at different fonts that are available. Now, if you're doing something creative, you might want to use one of the fancier fonts, but for professional documents, people tend to stick to things like Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial, a lot of the very common professional fonts. So I'll switch to Times New Roman, and you see that text looks a little bit different. Now, if I want to change the size, I can use a couple different menus. Next to the font face, there is the font size, and you can hover to see what it will look like at different sizes. So I'll just go to 16, but actually, I might want to change my mind about that, maybe up a little bit. Nope, I can go down. So the A up arrow increases font size based on the predetermined numbers in this list, and the A down arrow decreases based on those same numbers. Now, if you're working on something and need to customize further, you can click into this font size menu and manually type something. Maybe I need it just a little bit bigger. I'm going to do 17.5, and you see it increased a little bit. So that is how we can format the size and font of our text. Now, we can also do things like make text bold. So I've highlighted Inspire. It's already italic. You can see in the font menu things that have been highlighted in the font menu have been applied to that text. If I want to undo that formatting, I can click and that format option disappears. So I can press bold. Now you can do multiple formats to one selection of text. So maybe I want to italicize it as well. I'll highlight connect there, and I'll do underline. So all of these from bold, italic, underline, strike through, and subscript and superscript work like that. Now we can also change the color of text too. So I'll go down to the end, Lincolnwood Library staff. Library's logo is blue. Maybe I want to make this text blue. So I highlight it, and in the font group, there is the font color. Now, it changes. This red down here will change based on the last color that you used this to apply. So I always recommend, unless you actually want this color, to click the arrow to the right. And you can use the color pickers here. I'm just going to do kind of a medium blue. Click that, and it applies it to that text. And you see it saved that color so that if I need to apply it to other text, I can do that really quickly. I just select it and then press the left side of that button. There we go. Now you can also highlight, just like a highlighter in real physical note-taking. I'll highlight this sentence toward the end, and the highlight works exactly the same. If I want the default, the last highlight, I can just press that left side. I'll select the next area. If I want to change to a different color highlight, I press the down arrow and then select the color of highlight that I want. Now, if you need additional formatting options, there is a dialog box launcher menu for font. And when we click to open that, there are subtabs of font and advanced. You can change the scale of text. You can do things like customize underlining, and you see in both of these previews. So you can use this to even further customize your text with additional options. But for now, I'm just going to press the X or cancel to get out of that menu. So that is basic formatting. Apply those options in different combinations with what you need for your document to make your document really look good. Let's show you how to insert a picture. So you're probably in the Home tab. If you click over to Insert, there are a whole bunch of menus to help you insert different types of content, including in the Illustrations group, Pictures. So if I click Pictures from File, this first one, it will pull up my menu to search my computer. And this will be either File Explorer on a PC or Finder on a Mac. Use the locations on your computer on the left side. I had prepared a picture in the desktop. I'm going to use the library logo again. So you find your picture, single click it, click Insert. Then it appears in your document. When you click away from it, that menu of specific image controls disappears. So if I click on my picture to select it, the Picture Tools Format menu appears. You can do all sorts of things like mess with the color, other artistic effects, and frames. But most of the time, I've seen people use the position and wrap text features. So if you need to move the picture so that the text kind of wraps around it, you can press Wrap Text and then select one of these options. If you highlight over them, you'll see what they look like. I usually use the Tight option. Now that I've selected that, I can click and drag the picture, and the text adjusts to be near the picture, but give it some free space. You can drag that, and it kind of works exactly how you would expect. So again, you click away from that image, click onto it, and that menu appears. Now, you can also just manually change the size of the picture using the resize handles, the 8 little dots around the edge. If you want to skew the picture to a different aspect ratio, you can use the 4 in the middle to change the size or the width. But I'm actually going to use the Undo button to undo both of those options. If you want to keep the image at the same scale, hold your Shift key and then drag one of the 4 corners. And you see the scale stayed the same. There is no skewing, which is great. You can also rotate your image with the circle rotation handle above the image. Click and hold and drag, and you can free rotate. It kind of locks in at certain orientations every 90 degrees. You can hold your Shift key to be less precise if you just want a little bit of an angle. Releasing that shift and dragging gives you 360 degrees of rotation. I'll just set it back. And if you ever screw anything up in Microsoft Word, you can use your Undo button. And as soon as you've pressed Undo, you can redo to change your mind again. Now, if I click back into Format, you can also crop and change the size of a picture. So if I click the crop down arrow and then crop, brings up these little black lines around the image. You click and drag those, and I'll just make the borders of this image a little tighter. You see in the gray what you have removed from the image. I can even make it a little narrower, but I really don't want to do that, so you can always just undo your crop. Then to apply this, you just press the crop button at the top one more time. And now you see when I move this around, it's a little tighter. You can also manually change the size if you need an exact height or width. Maybe I need the height to be 1.5. You can type that in, hit enter, and you see that the width automatically adjusted. So I can do the same thing with the width. Maybe I want it to be 2 inches wide. It's in inches. And it resizes when I hit enter on my keyboard. Now you can also insert images from the internet with online pictures. You can search your OneDrive if you have that set up, or Bing image search. And I am just going to search for Lincolnwood. And we'll see what it comes up with. It's got a map and the mall. The Purple Hotel is famous. So if you like one of these pictures, you can click on it and hit insert. Then it thinks and inserts that picture. Now, I'm not going to change the wrapping of this picture, but I do want to move it. You can drag or cut and paste pictures just like text. So I'll click and hold and drag that to the bottom of the document. If you need to remove a picture, you can just press a picture and then hit delete. So that's how we work with pictures. Now that we've inserted that nice picture, let's talk about saving our document. By default, Microsoft Word does not save your document. If you actually want to work on it in the future, if this is something you need to send to someone else, you have to save it. In the top middle of the Microsoft Word window, it shows if you have saved the document or not. If you haven't, it will just say something like document 1 or document 2. As soon as you save the document, the file name you give it will appear here. To save, you first time go to the File menu and then Save As. And you can pick a location. I will just pick the desktop on my computer. And it pulls up your actual save menu. At kind of the middle bottom is where you can enter the file name and save as a certain type. So it often just steals the first word or phrase from your document. So it picked that word empower, but I will just say Lincolnwood example document. You can call the document whatever you'd like. I recommend something that you will remember. You don't have to put a date. You can use uppercase or lowercase. You just want it to be something that you will remember and be able to find in the future. So Lincolnwood example document is really not a very good title for a document, but I'm just going to use that in this case. Now, Save As type is also a drop-down menu, just like file name. If I click that down arrow, you see all of the file types available. .docx is the default, and it has been for quite a while. If you're dealing with someone who you think might have an older version of Microsoft Word or might not have Microsoft Word, the Word 97 to 2003 document format, .doc, is really good. It is pretty widely interoperable with other document programs. There are other formats as well. You see the huge list. The one that is most important is PDF. If you're making a permanent document, a report, a resume, anything you do not want to be easily modified, save as a PDF. PDFs are great because they are able to be accessed on just about any device, whether a laptop or desktop computer or a smartphone or a tablet. Just about every device is able to work with PDF format. And there's not paid software required to view a PDF. So you select your file format. I'm just going to use the .docx. Then you hit save. Now you see that name appears in the top middle, so I know that this document has been saved. Now, if I make a change, for example, moving this picture, I'll want to save again. You can lose things if you don't save and something happens to your computer. Microsoft Word may try to have some sort of auto recover of an unsaved document, but you can't really count on that to recover content that you didn't save. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So to very quickly save, just above the File button, you've got this little disk that you click. Doesn't even look like it did anything, but it saved the document. You can also go into File and Save, and that does the exact same thing as this disk button. So that is how you save your document. Do it frequently so that you do not lose anything. Now that I've saved this document, I want to demo closing and reopening the document. You might not be able to finish a Microsoft Word document project in one sitting. You might work on it one day and then come back to it a different day. You could also use it on different devices, and you'll want to be able to find it and reopen it to continue working on it. So first thing, of course, is to make sure that you've actually saved it. You want a unique file name, not document 1 or 2 or 3, something that you created at the top here. So I'm good. Now you can safely close the document in that case. There are 2 ways to close. You can hit the X in the upper right corner, or you can go to File and Close. So that closes out of the document, and I'm back to my main desktop. When you save the document, you really need to pay attention to where you saved it. You don't want to lose the document. You want it to be easy to find, so you really kind of need to remember where you saved your document. I put it on the desktop, and here it is. So I can just double click it to open it up. And here it is. Now that I've got it open, I'm just going to practice that other way of closing it, that X in the upper right corner. Close it. So I come back a different time to work on the document again. Now, if it's not on the desktop, it could be in some other folder on your computer, like the documents or downloads, and you'll need to find it. On a Mac, you'll use the Two-Face Finder program. On a PC, we use File Explorer, which is this manila disk. It opens up File Explorer, which is the digital equivalent of your hands, kind of searching through your computer file cabinet, if you will. You've got locations on the left, and then their display on the right. There may be recent files, but these change. You can't really count on them having what you'll need. There is the ability to search, or you can navigate through the different sections. So I'll press desktop, and there are some files here. We've been working in Lincolnwood example document. So to open it, you just double click. And here we go. We can work on the document more. So that is how you close and reopen Microsoft Word documents. We are teaching this class from Microsoft Word 2016. This is not the most up-to-date version of Microsoft Word. There is 2019, and the subscription versions can just update at any time to add new features. But really, the features of Microsoft Word have been remarkably stable over the years. One of the changes that happened in 2016 is the Help and Search menu. So after the last tab of the ribbon, the View tab or one of those contextual tabs, is the Search menu. Tell me what you want to do. So you can click into here, and maybe I forgot something about wrapping an image, and you can just start typing in plain text, kind of whatever you're thinking about, and it will pull up the button if you've lost it in the ribbon. The ribbon can be big, and there are lots of menus and submenus and groups of commands and the actual buttons. Now, these buttons in this help menu are actually live, so if I actually want to change the wrapping of this image, I can just click tight, and it figured out for me. I will undo that, then back into tell me what you want to do. So it remembers what you recently used. You can search for whatever you need. If something that you search for does not come up as one of these usable buttons, you can get help on whatever you searched to go to the actual traditional help menu, and it shows results for whatever you searched. If you click one of these articles, it will show you more. Hopefully this is helpful. So again, you click into the tell me what you want to do menu, and then you type what you're looking for. You can just use very basic texts. You don't have to punctuate. You don't want to use anything other than words you might think are the names of commands. And you can then click on any of the options that appear or get help on what you typed. Let's take a look at the layout menu. Layout includes columns, margins, orientation, and other controls for adjusting kind of the size, the positioning, and the layout of your document. The most often used are margins and orientation. Under margins, you see in the little highlight your current option. You can select one of the other options. Maybe I will do the moderate option, and you see it slightly reformatted my entire document, and it shows that I'm using that format. Now you can also go into the margins equivalent of the kitchen sink everything menu, and you could customize your own. Maybe from the left, I need it to be 1 inch, but on the right, I want it to be 0.75. So I can hit OK, and you see it shimmied everything over to the right a bit. If I click on margins, it shows that I'm using a custom setting. So I'll click away from that. Now you also might need to change the orientation of the document. I can click into that, and it's a very simple menu. There's only the portrait taller orientation or the landscape wider orientation. So if I switch it to landscape, this actually looks really good, but I really just want it in portrait. So it reformats your document based on your setting of the orientation. So you can use those to format your document. Paragraph formatting is really commonly used. So let's go over that menu a bit. Before I do that, I'm just going to move the image a little bit, and now I can format the text. If I've got this text that I want centered, I can highlight, and the bottom left of the paragraph menu gives me the options for how I align the text. I can put it in the middle, on the left, on the right, or double justify. I'll show you that again in a minute so it makes sense. I'll put it in the center. Now, two of the most commonly used features are bullet list and numbered list. You can highlight existing content and hit the bullets button, and it turns it into a bullet list. Or you can press either bullets or number, and I'll just do numbering here, to start a new list. And I'll just put some library services. We've got Overdrive ebooks. We've got Canopy for streaming, and Hoopla also for streaming. To get out of a bullet or number list, you just hit enter twice and it goes back to normal text. Now I've got these paragraphs here. I can highlight, and using the justify option, it makes sure that the text hits the right alignment as well as starting off on the left. So it adds additional space between letters. You see the space here is kind of large. That's larger, and even here as well. That's larger than your standard space. So if I highlight this and go back to standard left align, you see that it narrows things over to the left. Sometimes the justify look looks more professional. So that is the basics of paragraph formatting. As you're working in your Microsoft Word document, content may be underlined with editing suggestions. For example, ebooks here, you can right-click to see spell check suggestions, and it is suggesting to capitalize the B, or you can do it with a dash. Or you could just ignore if something is not an error and you like the way it is. So I can find Wi-Fi here, right-click, and it's suggesting to use the dash there. I think this is actually correct, so I can change that. Now sometimes the spell check doesn't know things correctly. If I right-click on the library service Canopy, I can add it to dictionary. So the red is typically spelling errors. The blue is errors related to kind of grammar and other things beyond spelling. I can right-click and see the suggestion. It's one of the last items in a list. It's thinking that I need the word and, but I actually don't think that's correct, so I could just ignore. So if you see those blue underlines, it's something related to how you've written your sentence. If it's red, it is spelling. You can see a fuller version of this menu in Review. Then click on ABC Spelling and Grammar. And this menu that appears as a pane from the right helps you to go through all of the problems in your document one by one. So Blu-ray, I need to ignore that. A to Z databases is our business database, and that's correct. I will ignore it. Creative bug is also correct. I will add it to the dictionary. I don't know, these suggestions are not the greatest. The spell check is not going to be perfect. I can change it. You can click on one of the options and then change. And when you're done, it says spelling and grammar check is complete, so you know that you have gotten through your entire document and you are good to go. After I've done spell check, usually I'm ready to print something. Printing is kind of hidden in the File menu. File menu you can think of as kind of this backstage view that has controls related to the entire document. We talked about save and save as. Print is just beneath. I love the print menu. It has a live print preview, so we can see on the right how the document is going to print, and on the left we can see settings. So I'll take this from top to bottom. When you're actually ready to print, this is the real print button, but you'll probably want to configure the settings first. So you can do the number of copies. You don't really need to use a copy machine if you're printing something directly from Microsoft Word. You can just say that you need 2 copies. You may need to select a certain printer if you're in an office or if you have multiple printers at home. You can select the printer by clicking the down arrow and then picking a printer. I don't actually have a printer set up on this device, so there aren't any listed, but you'll want to find a black and white printer or a color printer depending on your document. Under settings here, there are settings for which pages you print. You can print just the current page, all pages, or if you click away and click into the Pages menu, you can freeform type what pages you need, separated by a comma. So if it's a really long document, for example, maybe I need page 1, then I need page 3 through 10, then I need page 15, 17, and 43 through 45, something like that. You just do an individual page number or a range of pages with a dash in between, and it will figure it out for you. You can choose to print on one-sided or on both sides. It'll say manually if it knows that your printer is unable to do double-sided. If you have a duplex printer, it will just say print on both sides. Collation just means that it, by default, will, if it is a multiple copy document like this, do pages 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, instead of all the 1s, all the 2s, and all the 3s. You can change to uncollated if you need. This portrait orientation is the same control that is in layout. You can really quickly change that option. You can also change the margins as well to align your content better. And if you're trying to compress things, you're printing notes, you can do multiple pages on one sheet. This will decrease the size of your content very significantly, very quickly. So watch out for that. Whenever you're ready, you hit print, and if your printer is cooperating, which is often not the case, but hopefully it is, you hit print and your content will come out. And if you're having trouble with a printer at home, you can always come into the library. Lincolnwood residents get $15 of free printing that accrues at the start of the year. So you can use that to print up to 150 black and white pages, 15 cents per black and white page. We charge 55 cents per color page. So you can see your print preview, change settings, and hit print. To get out of this menu or any of the menus in the File Backstage view, you just press the back button and you are back to your document. Thanks for watching our Microsoft Word Basics class video on the Lincolnwood Library YouTube channel. We covered the basics of Microsoft Word, from its interface to typing to help in search. We also added layout, lists, and spell check. And then we covered printing, and we are now doing the outro. You can go to the library website, lincolnwoodlibrary.org, to see everything that we have to offer, including our events that we're offering, most virtually, our quick links to all of the databases that we offer, including lynda.com for technology training videos. You can go to the catalog to see things that you want to check out, and more. So again, thanks for watching this class. We hope you learned a lot and you'll be able to use Microsoft Word for everything you need to do with documents.